Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're good. Yeah, okay. Risen Esports Champions League, week number 4. And showdown right now has been Gang 7 versus Junior Talents. And game number 1, it was quite an interesting matchup because early on, it was very back and forth between these two squads.
That it was, again, the attempted pressure that was being, just taken away this time by Best Turtle. He used his Gragas to try to evade some of that early game pressure, and the Ornn, of course, Optic Waffle's able to soak a little bit for himself as well. You actually see that here, this mid lane play between the two, where Linsanity's going to turn here. He gets this initial first kill. This is, again, part of the pressure. You wouldn't expect for Gragas to get this aggressive this early without many lanes of the sword. The first play going to go his way. Optic Waffles goes down in response there, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but again, first play goes their way. Now, this is the bottom lane fight. This is where the game really started to sway on the side of Junior Talent here. Loco Asian, again, watch him right here. He doesn't have anything. Ultimate disrupts a lot of the team fight, and then the block of the Ornn ultimate completely dissuades 2 kills on a Sarcasm and Loco Asian, and the turn from Lisanity absolutely devastates. And again, that's really the breaking point in this game. At this point, it was really all Junior Talents from this point on in terms of team fighting, anything else. It was really, really nice play on this one, so that's going to secure this fight for them here. Eventually they get more, but this is the big fight at the end. This is, the Dragon was on the board here. The Mountain Soul would have been a huge grab here from the side of Junior Talents, and they attempt to make a pickoff here onto the Ezreal, and you'll see that eventually. Where Best Turtle, they try to zone them out here with the barrel. And the Ezreal, they call for it immediately. The Thresh and the Gragas both are going to jump for this guy. He goes under his own tower, not able to get the kill for himself, and Neo Restoration is kind of his bodyguard in this one. But again, watch the TP from Diana. He's already behind. He's going to be able to get this 5-man ultimate off, and that's going to completely change the way that this fight has gone, because all of them have to flash out the back. That lets Sarcasm get a flank into the back line, while the front line gets damaged by the combination of the Set and the Ezreal. So just, again, that's the last fight of the game. They're going to win off the back of that one. But the early pressure, super, super good. As fights continued, as the gold advantage continued from Junior Talents, they just immediately started winning fights and never stopped from that point. So you have to slow the snowball, or you have to try to find somewhere else on the map to put pressure if you're on the side of Gang 7.
Yeah, and a lot of that was indicative of their team composition. It's a composition that spikes in the mid game. Lee Sin being the sole focus of getting everyone as fast as possible towards that mid game spike as they can. And then you look at the side of Gang 7, and it was just more about scaling. And you can't really just sit back. You can't really have that many scalers and hope to win a game in the mid game and hope to be able to survive in the mid game. There does need to be some changes that at least some contingency plans to make sure they're able to get at least some form of lane priority. If they're going to have a scaler, at least try and stick it down to just one.
Yeah, they gave up too much. Again, the Sivir in the bottom lane didn't really do too badly, but didn't get enough gold to actually warrant it. Again, if they play something aggressive on bottom side like Lucian, and they can apply pressure to the Ezreal in the Braum lane, which again, that's hard to do as it is with any champion, but you just didn't get enough done with the Sivir to warrant having some of those team fights go the way that they did. And of course, the Kayle taken out of the game basically from minute 1 with Neo Restoration getting that immediate, what was it, like 500 damage trade for absolutely free in the laning phase, just completely won it for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going against a bully such as Set, and you decide to face check. Like, I don't understand that part right there. That's a very simple thing to do. You know, if he's waiting in the bush, you're not winning that fight, but for some reason he still went through it, and that was just the beginning of the end right there. It was just a snowball effect, and it resulted in 3-man dives going towards the top lane where they had just no fear of that kill pick.
No, they did not. And of course, snowballing on the top side of the map was kind of what from the game. Specifically, though, again, Lisanity and Sarcasm on their 2 champions, being mobile, being aggressive, constantly taking fights, even when it didn't work for them. Again, that mid lane play where Ornn got basically a double kill under his own tower for free. But they continued to put on the pressure with their champions. And as they got a little bit more gold, as some of the fights went in their favor, that really started being felt in fights. If Sarcasm or Lisanity were able to survive the fight for the majority of it, they would usually win. There was absolutely nothing to stopping them. The only time there was any push back was when Race Car on the Kayle was able to get the double kill onto both of them, get that was 2,000 gold in terms of shutdown. But outside of that, I mean, it was just Sarcasm and Lisanity running the show for the most part in some of those team fights.
So this makes me wonder how they're going to start changing up the draft once we do get into this game 2 draft. We saw focus on towards the Ornn. We weren't able to get a clear picture of what the champion pick orders were, but you can always assume Ornn's going to be an early one, despite not banning out the Braum. I do feel like one thing that needs to go away is TSM Sarcasm's Lee Sin. Either trying to take it away or trying to counterpick it with something like a Rek'Sai. He was just he was just too much pressure in the early game to really handle. He really racked in the KDA.
That he did, and even more importantly is like later in the game or in some of those like later game skirmishes as opposed to just the early game, he was still able to get the angles he needed to find kicks to support team fights. And sometimes it's hard for Lee Sins, even at like top tier levels of play, to find the angles necessary to be an engage or some sort of damage dealer for your fights, because you really need the dragon kick to go off. But Sarcasm seemed to never really have an issue with that as the game continued. So yeah, taking him off of that one, that's just comfort. It looked very, very nice for him to have that one.
Yeah, so that's just one change that comes to mind. Of course, we were already talking about having bot and top being just scalers as well as Ornn as well. What else can you really do? I believe one of the more contested picks is Aphelios. It was banned away in that one. Misfortune banned away as well. I'm trying to figure out what's going to hit the rift here. We definitely haven't seen much of the Mordekaiser, which we've been anticipating can now be a triple flex. You know, the tankier supports did see the light of day in this one, despite the Thresh being locked in with the Sivir combo. There's all kinds of different things we could have seen, and actually we're going to start getting those answers now as draft for game number 2 is now underway.
Yeah. I like the Olaf ban to start things off. Not only can it be flexed into the jungle, but I believe that Racecar plays a very mean Olaf top lane. So that flexibility between the two and not knowing where it's going to go earlier on in the game can have some significant impacts to your laning phase. Not to mention, get a couple more here. Callista and Aphelios taken out. The Yuumi LeBlanc banned out as well. They're just not letting that go through. Man, ADC's really taking a hit to the pool once again.
Yeah, the banning of the Callista. It's quite an interesting one. Callista's been coming more and more into the meta just because it's been more tank supports and, you know, more tanky characters altogether, and she's definitely really good at tearing those apart. So, interesting to see that going, getting taken away. Senna being the first pick over for junior talents. It's definitely not a big surprise there. She's one of those big early game focus. Ornn still left on the table as well, as Gang 7 are going to take the Gragas as well as the Yasuo. Get that knock-up combo.
Yeah. Do like that one. Again, Optic Waffles plays a very, very good Yasuo in the mid lane. Not to mention, again, pairing it with that Gragas gives a little bit more agency in the middle of the map. The other side, they respond immediately with Galio and the Ornn. Now, this is something I really like. So what has been happening recently, of course, is that support item into basically no farm Senna on the bottom side of the map, just consistently getting souls. One of my favorite adaptations is rather than running Tahm Kench or Taric or Braum, somebody that doesn't really need the gold, running Galio gives you somebody that engages early, soaks pretty well in the front line, and has tons of CC that really heavily benefits from that early gold gain that you wouldn't normally have at the support role. Having that extra AP makes him a dangerous team fighter as opposed to one of those others.
Yeah, Gang 7, meanwhile, they instantly responded on the Ornn pick with the Braum pick. So, kind of playing their own game here. Not just that, but the Yasuo as well. So, you have two ways to stop the call of the Forge God. Lucian going to be picked up on the side of Gang 7.
Yeah, we do see, again, the Lucian Braum, a very good pairing in their own right, not to mention the Yasuo Gragas. So they're going very synergistic, and they're going to probably play a lot more skirmish-heavy fighting here, because they have champions that work together so well. Now, the Echo likely going into the mid lane. Then we see Set in the top lane, so that is going to be... Wait, is that going to be the... Yeah, that should be... Oh, man. Okay, it's probably Echo Jungle then. My apologies. Okay. Yeah, I was a little fooled there for I forgot that the Echo. Yeah, I was just messing around there. Sarcasm does play again. AP junglers as AP junglers go. Echo and Elise are the two that he plays the most, so it's not shocking to see him play something like this. This plays a lot like the Lee Sin. You have a lot of mobility, have a lot of early damage. Doesn't duel quite as well as Lee Sin early, but brings CC to the table in that level 3 bubble where the Lee Sin does not. So really, really important for him to get his hands on a champion like this.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm loving the way Game 7 have shaped up their draft now because there's so much more mid-game focus. And even with the Aatrox being one of the big ones, the big lane bully over on the top side, he should be able to find some advantageous trades over on that top side as well. We were talking about those base stat nerfs. Aatrox loves to harass. He loves to fight. He will be taking advantage of those nerfs, no doubt. And I said earlier, Gang 7 have strong solo lanes. This is allowing those solo lanes to shine.
That does certainly give strong champions over to these two that we didn't really see in the previous game, or at least lanes they could be a little more self-sufficient in, as opposed to that last game where you had the Ornn and the Kayle for themselves. My one question is just, again, Gang 7, they put together a really good composition. It's a lot of AD, though, so Gragas is really going to be the only main source of AP coming through from this one. Now, actually, it's not true. I was going to say it's true for junior talents, but the Galio in the bottom lane is going to be dishing out a lot of magic damage with the gold he's getting, so Gang 7 is kind of one-dimensional in the fact that they have armor. So you're talking Sarcasm can build Iceborne. You can do pretty much anything on set in the top lane. If you want to build Bramble Vest, you can do that very early. Linsanity, of course, can stack the armor if he wants to, because as long as they shut down Gragas earlier on, not going to have to worry about AP as a really significant threat to your team.
And of course, what about the bot lane combo? Slurps and Benison taking the Lucian as well as the Braum. It's a tried and true combo. Just being multiple winners bite, you start doubling up with those autos and you get the stun really fast. Senna can be quite squishy in that regard, and it's very easy to abuse her in that case. And one of the big things here is there is going to be a bit of a shoving battle. Lucian can shove in the lane quite quickly, but Galio is usually one of those counter shovers who you can just throw out his Q, especially since he's going to get some gold and try and even out that priority. And personally, I got to ask you, which way do you see that bot lane going?
Right now, and this is probably personal opinion, I don't have a lot of expertise personally in the bottom lane. I am a support player. I'm not really an ADC player, but when I play against this Senna, like this farm but just like all soul Senna farming, it is crazy. I don't think I've actually had a lane that has worked against it because it's just so difficult. This is a hard lane to engage into for the Lucian Braum, just because, again, if Galio's in the way, you get double taunted, you take a lot of damage from this AP Galio, and you can't really burn through him super fast. So Aaron also played defensively last game. I expect the same thing in this one. I don't see, outside of maybe a really good gank from Turtle, Slurps and Benison getting the better of one Aaron and Loco Asian in this one.
This is the draft. Pretty strong on both sides. Junior are definitely liking the fact that they were able to get a lot of those flexible, powerful picks. You are seeing a lot of synergy and counter pick potential coming out of Gang 7. Just a question of how it's going to play out. A lot of this will rotate around the jungle because those stronger solo lanes this time of Gang 7 can be thwarted by jungler intervention, and that's one thing Sarcasm's really good at. So keep a close eye on his pathing in this match.
Yeah, will be really important. Actually, starting something that I've seen get more popularized is actually starting your lane off in the lane on both sides and not giving a leash over to your jungler. It happens usually with Wolf Camp, but I do see some AoE junglers, things like Kayn, do it without. Echo is one of these champions that if you start Q, you're able to apply that jungle item to the Raptor Camp.
Oh, and now an attack going in the bot lane. They're going right after Aaron, forcing the flash out early, mind you. That is some hella aggression to be seeing coming out of Gang 7's bot.
Yeah, pretty rough start to the laning phase here. Of course, those Qs from Aaron combined with the, Biscuits of Rejuvenation should keep him healthy, but this was reminiscent of what happened last game with Neo Restoration and Racecar in the top lane, where he took such an impressive trade that you kind of lose lane pressure from it.
And the fight going on in the mid lane, meanwhile, Linsanity getting abused a little bit by Optic Waffle, who's going to put down the Ignite, forcing the flash out of Linsanity. Very critically low flash as far as Optic Waffle scores first blood onto the Ornn.
An outplay. Just in the purest of terms, 1v1, Optic is able to put down a ton of damage, has the Conqueror, had it stacked up pretty well there. The Ignite also does quite a bit of damage, and the Ornn just can't trade back. The mobility of Optic Waffles proved too much.
Overall, good start coming out of Gang 7. Definitely need a lot more of it. Sarcasm headed towards the bot side, looking to find a gank. It's gonna be Turtle walking towards the side as well, so these junglers might bump into each other. Channeling the recall for now. Sarcasm's just gonna take the back.
That he will. Not able to find anything so far on Best Turtle. I expect, especially with the first kill going the way of Optic Waffles, for the Gragas Yasuo to be really important. Actually heading back bot lane to try to get a jump on this flashless Senna.
Flash is down, as you said, and here comes the gank. Best Turtle being very slow about the way he's taking this, isolating Aaron from his support while lowering down Loco Asian, forcing out the flash on top of that as well. So very methodical play resulting in a kill.
Yeah, well done. Again, finding a way to sneak behind. This looks a lot better from the side of G7 in this one. Just starting off the game with a couple of quick kills for your Lucian and your Yasuo. You'd expect them in this game particularly to have a little bit more agency early on. It takes a little bit for Echo to get some damage. And of course that Senna is going to be a little scrapped for power earlier on in the game because it doesn't have that itemization quite as quick. Certainly, you feel like this is more of a mid-game, late-game team here from the side of junior talent. So G7, of course, they're ramping the pressure on early, just trying to take advantage of what their composition does best.
And I do want to state that something that could have helped out with the way this played, especially Beth's Turtle's early pathing that resulted in that kill on the bot side. Actually got to hold that thought because the gank going over on the top side, Race Car flashing away, will be able to get away from the stun, but 3 procs finds the auto. Not going to find the kill, though. Race Car recalls.
Yeah, very, very close. Still, the flash did come through from Racecar, so could look to repeat gank that lane. It feels pretty good for the set as long as that flash is down. If he opts for the Bramble Vest as well, could be helpful. Well, so the Aatrox might not be in the best place for a little bit. Buys a little bit of time on the top side of the map. And Best Turtle either has to try to reprieve some pressure or just allow this set to kind of beat his Aatrox in the laning phase for the next few minutes.
And meanwhile, Optic is really looking to apply the pressure in the mid lane because he's gone with the double Doran's build this time. And it really doesn't take much to get a Yasuo online. He is kind of low income despite him being a more crit scaler than anything else.
Yeah, certainly. And getting some of these early kills would be helpful for him to build towards some of this itemization. That'd be nice. I expect him to go for Static Shiv earlier on than most, just because of the wave clear advantage it gives you against the Ornn, allowing him to roam around with Best Turtle as fast as possible. Insanity, it'll proc off, but hurts a lot less with that shield on for Yasuo.
Now Turtle's kind of camping around, looking to go back towards that bot side possibly, getting those deep... Just getting that deep vision in for the time being, but... Flash is still down from Aaron in the bot side, so if he does circle back down there, there's a very real chance that he can score another kill. Keep in mind, no ward in the Tribush as well.
Yeah. No protection here for the Senna and the Galio. Need to be a little bit more cognizant of where they're at on the map and where the jungler potentially can be, but unfortunately, Best Turtle gonna walk over that ward, had the sweeper up, but still gonna sense that something might be impending here on the bot lane, so they're gonna let the wave push back towards them.
I feel a little bit of the mind games there. Just goes for the river. If he would have took the jungle, he would have had the path. Might have thought there was something in that Tribush. Regardless, in the past, G7 right now, still up 2 kills, as well as 1k gold. And again, a very competitive match between these two teams. They're being very, very slow in these early stages, trying to be very careful about how they plan this out, because you know it's going to be another volatile mid-game.
That it will, especially with things like the Echo, having that ultimate available to him pretty big. Looks like Grog is going to start up this jungle. They're going to spot it out. They have that control ward in the river. Sarcasm could look in potentially. He doesn't have the ultimate yet, though, so this could be rough.
The Sarcasm wanting to hop over. High risk if he goes for it. Doesn't have flash either. Not worth it. Gonna concede that dragon over to Gang 7. Get that extra cooldown reduction going for the squad.
Yeah, he does. And again, this is looking pretty well like the like they switch sides, and it looks a little bit like opposite games where the initial pressure goes the way of Best Turtle, the initial Drake goes the way of Best Turtle as well. So kind of looking to play the Sarcasm role in this one. Of course, again, the Echo does take a little bit to get to the point where he can start dueling and fighting really, really heavily. So maybe just taking a little bit slower, not doing the same thing, not trying to reprieve the pressure from the map, just trying to get himself into a place where Sarcasm feels like he can do some work. And when he does do that, it's going to feel a lot better for himself. This mid-game should be a little bit closer than what we saw last time.
And Caulfield's Warhammer into Vampiric Scepter will be the build for Slurps. Not really dedicating to either the Essence Reaver or the Blade of the Rune King. But look at this, trying to hold down Loco Asian under the tower. Benison will be able to pick up that kill, puts down the exhaust to ensure he's able to survive. On top of it, a kill going on in the top lane. Meanwhile, his race car did fall, but more fighting in the mid lane. Benison's on the run. The snare goes out, but here comes Slurps, going straight after Aaron, flashing forward, knowing he has that advantage, but the blast plant will be enough to keep Aaron safe. The fight's still going on, though, as Call of the Forge God goes out. Sarcasm smells blood in the water. He's going straight after Turtle. It's going to be Linsanity who grabs that kill. And in the bot lane, it's not done just yet. Optic Waffles picks up a straggler in the form of Aaron.
Optic Waffles gets a roam down towards the bottom side of the map, and more importantly, again, the fight on the top side goes the way of Junior Talent, and because of that, they pull the top laner out, pull the jungler out, and they're able to get this Rift Herald for free to get back some of the gold they lost during these last little fights. So that's a great little exchange for them, not to mention 2 assists with the Echo, but a kill onto both your solo laners takes away the pressure that the Aatrox and the Yasuo have been applying nearly as much. They're really going to be happy to have that one. All in all, not too bad of a trade here from the side of Junior Talent.
That was pretty wild. Every single lane was having action going on. We said it was going to get volatile. It's getting volatile a little bit too early now.
That is. Insanity's starting to stack some of that armor, going to feel better into the Yasuo. Yasuo also finishes his Berserker Greaves first, has none of the crit, none of the extra stats that you would get from something like a Zeal item, maybe even the Kerchiss Shard. Not going to have any of that for the laning phase quite yet, so just going to have to rely on the Conqueror for some of that consistent AD to come through.
Yeah, but this is where he starts to diminish. This is where it's really tough, because going over, he does have the Chain Vest. A good amount of armor, and it's only against Doran's Blades. Building over for that Sunfire Cape. It's going to get harder and harder for Optic to be able to deal with that. Definitely going to need the help of landing that ultimate to be able to take down Insanity. But look at this gank going into the bottom lane, able to get the Glacial Fissure onto Aaron, who's dismantled. One more auto will find the winners by concussive blows proc, but Loco Asian will be able to slip away and get the recall.
Yeah, importantly in this bottom lane, the problem is that Senna usually needs something defensive like Tahm Kench, like Braum Beeble, the defender. And while, yes, I like the adaptation that Galio gets the gold instead of one of these defensive supports, you're also losing out on the ability to save Aaron in these dive potentials. So the Lucian, Braum, and the combination of, again, the Gragas coming down over and over and over again have been able to punish that so well.
And Sarcasm in the mid lane, looking to stop this relentless aggression that's been coming out of Optic Waffles. Here comes Call of the Forge God, maybe used a little bit too early. No, the wind wall is there to stop it. Still continuing with this pressure, though, will finally find the kill onto Optic. Now it's Turtle who's trying to run away for his life. It's going to be a double for Sarcasm.
Yeah, very well done then. Sarcasm has the completed Runic Echo, is able to punish the mid lane because he just keeps getting aggressive, keep playing a little too far in front of his wave. Now the Rift Herald being dropped mid as well could mean a lot of tower gold goes down here. Not to mention you're catching the bottom lane. Slurps and Benison didn't back before any of this, so actually they could push pretty far with this. They might be able to get the full tower gold.
Wow. Here. Yeah, and this tower going down would be absolute disaster for Gang 7 because this is really going to open up map control, really open up vision control over towards Junior Talent, and that's going to be the case now. One more hit, and there it goes. First tower over to JT.
They do. Really nice. Not to mention more tower plates going the way of bottom lane as well, getting back some of the gold that they lost during that last exchange. Let me see, Senna. 32 stacks isn't terrible for this point in the game. Certainly not exactly where you want to be, but can't play as aggressively as normal, so don't feel too bad about that one. Looks like a Blade of the Rune King being finished, not only for Optic Waffles, but also for Slurps here before anything else.
Yeah, now the fight breaking out in the mid lane. Optic Waffles feeling confident going on to Lin, but Lin's going to survive with just a slither of health. Now Optic has to take on a new challenger. It's going to be Sarcasm. He's getting the better hand of this, but can't take the auto battle to Optic Waffles. So he will be able to bully both the jungler as well as the mid laner away from that tower.
He will. They're going to roam down, probably take this Mountain Drake off the map here. Be a pretty easy one for them to secure. Not again, individual drakes don't mean too much, but they are getting much closer to this soul. And of course, giving up these drakes probably part of the plan from the side of Junior Talent in the first place. So them getting a little bit of gold back on the map for some of the plays that have been going on is absolutely worthwhile trade. Still, this objective starting to go the way. What I want to see now, I want to see Optic Waffles and I want to see Best Turtle get around the map as best as possible. But roam around and utilize the strength of these two champions together to put some pressure on the side lanes. More pressure, especially onto the Senna and the Galio.
An interesting move. You were talking about it earlier with the Blade of the Rune King. It's going to negate some of that armor. It's still going to keep him competitive against Linsanity. And most importantly, it was buffed for melee champion, so he's going to get additional damage onto Linsanity as well.
That he will. I remember back in the day, which was back when Ornn was like a top laner, didn't have a lot of the things that he had now. It was when he was strong, but before he got nerfed, so it wasn't when he was recently strong, it was when he was strong before. One of the best counter picks was that Yasuo, and a lot of members did actually take Blade of the Rune King first item in that trade before any of this changes came through. So it's an interesting matchup that Optic Waffles has picked himself into, just happens to be strong in the champion as well, so putting himself in a good position to succeed in this one.
Here comes the attack in the bottom lane, looking to find Loco Asian. Explosive Cast going to go wide. The hunt is on. Loco Asian will be stunned up. Not too much health remains, so the finish coming out of Slurps. Now Aaron getting a little bit too close, gets exhausted in the process, slowed down by one of the barrels. Meanwhile, in the top lane, attack onto the tower. JT looking confident.
Yeah. This is the play onto the top side of the map. Insanity roamed up here, and Sarcasm roamed up here, and they saw him coming, but the ultimate comes through. Gonna catch him right here. Yeah, really nice from Insanity to land that ultimate after Sarcasm gets a dive in. It's been really nice because the application of pressure from G7 has been onto the bottom lane to get them ahead. Exactly what we wanted to see last game, but Sarcasm has done such a good job at pushing pressure onto this top side of the map with Insanity and Neo Restoration. So this is what I would have wanted to see the adaptation for last game. Now you've got a powerful bottom lane and a mid laner to work with here in these fights for the side of G7, but it still feels in the favor of junior talents just because of their scaling.
Yeah, that being said, this is going to be very critical moments for G7. They have to start using this mid-game spike that they're beginning to find. You got the Blade of the Rune King on Slurps. One more item, and he's off to the races for the mid-game. Same thing for Optic Waffles. He really needs to complete that Blade of the Rune King. That's the power spike that G7 is going to be playing around, and hopefully they are able to find some success for it, because once the scaling starts kicking in, as you're talking about, JT, they're going to be loving the Rift.
That they will. Not to mention, I think if Neo Restoration is around during a fight, he can pull Optic Waffles out of any engagement that just goes too far. So if you don't catch Neo Restoration with a knockup and gets the Yasuo ultimate off, Optic Waffles just gets disrupted and immediately gets pulled out of that fight and back into his own team, which kind of negates a lot of the damage you would get with that armor penetration from the Tempest. Really important.
Bit of a standoff right here for the Rift Herald. 5 members strong will be JT. Here comes the collapse coming out of G7. Predator boots are now activated. Best Turtle just walking around trying to pick his moment for the engagement as the teleport is being channeled from Racecar. The engagement is there, able to find a 3-man last breath. Now going forward is G7. They're feeling it as the Call of the Forge God goes out. It's not going to be able to find much. The health bars are far too low for JT. Now G7 finishing the job. All they have is Sarcasm.
No,
they'll pick up Shelly on top of it. Or will they? Was it stolen away? JT, goodness gracious, they were able to get it.
Yeah, Sarcasm able to confirm that Rift Herald for themselves, but the lost fight is absolutely not worth it. Nice little TP on the top side of the fight there from Racecar to set them up, and as you said, that last breath from Yasuo, just an amazing little setup to start things off. You're going to see a small replay in the bottom left of your screen, and it was really nice against Shelly. Yeah, you're going to see Sarcasm throws the ultimate out, going to get the eye as well, I believe, on the top side of this one. And there it is right there, yeah, Sarcasm then actually tries to get back to it as well before he dies, but his dead body does unfortunately lay across the eye and doesn't confirm it for him.
Oh, hell of a team fight to break out too, and all off the engagement of G7, that last breath you were talking about to come up.
Yeah, and Sarcasm throws a bubble the complete wrong direction, not expecting the pure engagement from the Yasuo Gragas on the backside. And I think if that bubble had been on top of where Set had thrown his ultimate, he could have maybe changed the fate of some of this fight, or at least bought more time for Neo Restoration and Insanity to do more, but not able to get that one confirmed for himself. Threw it defensively to try to push Waffles and and Slurps off. Yeah, that again, just a great little play from Sarcasm to deny the Rift Herald there.
Yeah, able to deny it, almost able to grab it. So close, and yet so far. G7, they are now starting to spike. This is their moment. Essence Reaver is now complete for Slurps. Optic Waffles straight out bought a BF sword right after that Blade of the Rune King, so they're sitting pretty right now as the Call of the Forge God is going to go off, but that's a Yasuo, and that is a wind wall that Call of the Forge God will not get through. Still trying to find the engagement on Optic Waffles, able to flash away, throws out the last breath, able to get the shield, but Linsanity will still grab the kill as Racecar finds the flank on Aaron, and now Racecar with the World Ender, slamming his sword down, wants to call Loco Asian as well, and Junior Talent are getting absolutely eviscerated. Racecar's flank, a double kill goes through. Slurps will pick up that one. Racecar just trying to find the final kill to secure that ace, will be slowed down. Sarcasm just barely able to get away.
That they do. I think the problem right now is, again, for a later game scaling composition, they're taking fights far too often. Not to mention, when the fight comes through, it's not going cohesively for them. They're not working the way that their composition. They're splitting up very wide, and they're getting taken in basically 2v2s, 3v3s, and that's exactly what you want. If you've got Braum Lucian against 2 members, if you've got the Yasuo Gragas against 2 members, and you get the 1v1 for Racecar, that's what you're looking for on the side of Gang 7 here. You're going to see that happen immediately. One Aaron gets pulled off at the backside of the fight. Sarcasm also not able to get anything. And everybody's chunked out from that tower dive onto the Yasuo, not able to get anything. And then, of course, the TP comes through in the middle of the fight. You see everybody separated. Nobody's close enough together. A little bit of engagement here onto Benson's, but Neo Restoration not able to get enough damage here. W almost gets enough, and then Sarcasm just has to run away and make sure he doesn't die. You gotta slow down, not take fights here if you're on the side of Junior Talents, because you don't need to. You can wait a little bit longer, try to get to some of your itemization spikes, or at least get more AD onto this Senna before you continue to take engagements like that.
Yeah, this is kind of the inverse of game one. Last time it was G7 not playing to their scaling win condition. Now it's JT doing that as another engagement's going to come through. Sarcasm's going to look to find something here as the Call to Forge God goes out. The knock up on the best turtle results in his death. Sarcasm grabs the kill, wants to find more, goes after Benison, gets the proc, just wants to walk away. They're happy grabbing the one and then being done.
Yeah. Gonna look to push top lane as well. They have all 5 members here. Benison's just now roaming down. There's 2 members. The Yasuo and the Lucian are far too far away to defend this tower, and Insanity might look for a flank on the backside.
Insanity knocking up Benison's. Wants to back off now, though. Taking a little bit too much punishment from Slurps, but control this tower. Going over to JT early on, but the minion wave is being killed now. Going forward, World Ninjas pop. Slurps able to grab one onto the set. Now they're looking for Linsanity, hopping over the wall. He tries to go unstoppable, but you can only delay that CC for so long. You can't stop death, and Slurps is bringing a hell of a lot of it as he's able to find a triple kill. Wants to find Sarcasm as well. Sarcasm on the run. A flash forward coming out from Slurps. Forces the chrono break to come through. Best Turtle will match him. Sarcasm down. 4 down once again. It only cost Optic Waffles. G7 control the map.
That they do. 10 kills on Slurps means that he completely controls the game right now for the side of G7. And once again, the fight gets split up far too far apart. It was a really, really deep movement from Insanity, and they could have gone for a deep dive if they wanted to underneath that tower, because the Lucian and the Yasuo weren't quite there yet, but unfortunately, they don't have the cohesive call. They don't commit to the tower, they don't commit to the fight, they don't commit to anything, and because of that, they lose all of that pressure. Insanity could look to steal it, but I don't think he has the smite available right now.
Ooh, health bars are getting a little bit low for G7, though. They did take a lot of damage from that Baron, and here comes the engagement coming out of Junior Talented. They're gonna look to deny the Call of the Forge God. Race Car is still bringing the hurt, though. Looking for the kills. He will drop the sword down with the World Ender, get the regen, and find the double kill. Aaron can do nothing but watch in horror as he goes forward once again. The last breath, the triple kill. Race Car is a madman. Best Turtle grabs the last kill, and Gang 7 are destroying Junior Talent limb from limb. Race Car comes up big.
That they do. Able to keep Best Turtle as well in this fight is massive for the Baron take, because of course Sarcasm is in the area. I don't know if he's going to be able to stall it himself. I would like to see him try here, potentially get it done. No ultimate from either Optic Waffles or Best Turtle. Doesn't look like he's going to even compete for it, though. Just going to give up the Baron. It's kind of a shame. The initial engagement from Linsanity looked so good in that fight, just overextending into the Aatrox with his ultimate up means all of that sustain came back, and he was able to work his way through a fight. A great play from Racecar to save his team and save the Baron property, or the Baron potential.
Goodness, G7, this is the spot right here. You're starting to work on those third items. Zeal items picked up by both the Yasuo as well as the Lucian. You have some sort of scaling that you can work with if you're JT, but you're not allowing that to come true. This might be the case now as they're able to find Slurps all by his lonesome, and this could be a big mistake for G7. They have Baron. It's now going to be a delayed siege with this Baron thanks to that death.
And it will. Thankfully able to kill Lucian off. That is the main powerhouse right now. Waffles is the next one. He gets knocked up.
The knockup coming through, looking to find Optic. Optic forced to jump in, but he can't get the last breath as the RKO goes off. Loco Asian grabs the kill. It's going to be another one down. Slurps, Optic, the players we were just talking about that were spiking are not on the Rift right now, so G7 have to concede the inners.
That they do. Losing quite a bit of ground here for this Baron is a shame. Not to mention this Dragon will be coming up here, and that would be Soul for the side of G7. They could look to contest for it. The Lucian is back up, but Optic Waffle's not likely going to be up to contest for it. Or at least, actually, the timing is really good for them. He's going to be back up with more than enough time to get out to that one. So they're going to reset on the side of JT to see that they can get their items and try to buy some more stuff for the Dragon fight that's going to come through inevitably here. We're going to see this fight. Yeah, this E comes in. I think the E drag slurps back into the bubble, and that's the stun that comes through, and then the E over the wall gets this. I like this playstyle also from the side of JT here because, of course, they're not playing separated across the whole fight. Okay. Take a look.
Hold the thought, looking to find the steal right now. Going through Sarcasm! He's able to steal away the Drake and makes it look stylish with the chrono break.
I do believe he hit both procs of the Q, so his passive, the execute damage on top of the E damage, a Sheen proc, and then of course the smite coming through all at once, just not enough damage on the Gragas to be able to outsmite that. Yeah, you're going to see, I think both Qs are able to hit this dragon here. I don't know if that's the case or not. Yeah. Gonna get this, yeah, E, and then second Q, and then flat. Yeah, so much burst damage from an Echo. About as perfect as you could possibly make that happen. Oh!
Ooh, looking to make Sarcasm pay. He's able to put on the fancy footwork. Still wants to buy time for the parallel convergence. Will find the Quadra stun, but it's not going to be enough. Call of the Forge God goes out. It's completely thwarted by a wind wall, and now JT on the back foot.
That is. Now, their wave is really far back here because they didn't actually push the 2 minions that were going to stall it out. So they don't get exactly the minion push they would have wanted immediately. And I don't know how much longer. The Baron's only up for 10 more seconds, so this wave has got to do a lot of work for them. I think Linsanity could just push them off.
You're able to get a knockup, but do you want to go too far forward in a 4 versus 5? Because look at Race Car go! He's just destroying Turtle! Out comes the redemption, bringing a little bit more life to this siege for G7. Now it's a 3 versus 5. You concede this inhibitor. You have no right trying to fight it.
That is correct. Just don't give give up too much. It's very reminiscent again of what we saw last game. Sarcasm is back if you want to look for the fight afterwards.
Still going forward now, trying to get Race Car. Venison goes down. 1 kill picked up so far. Sarcasm drops as well, but here comes the RKO. Neo Restoration able to get the double kill, but he's facing Race Car, who's been a madman in this fight. Aaron, run from the boogeyman. You can't do a damn thing to that Aatrox. And now he just watches as the last 2 members of G7 are able to walk away after claiming that inhibitor.
That is correct. Able to get that one off. His UK Race Car continues to get stronger and stronger and sustain through these fights. Now with the Death Dance and his ultimate, you need a lot of healing reduction, and then you need a lot of damage to burn through this Aatrox, and it's just not there if Sarcasm and Aaron aren't focusing him at any given time. So really, really well played from Race Car to consistently put out that damage. You're going to see a lot here as the engagement came through on the bottom side. Yeah, this is afterwards. They're just going to get this tower. And again, Linsanity doesn't quite have the ultimate up yet, so he can't engage for Sarcasm. So Sarcasm gets a really weak engagement here, just finds Optic Waffles and then Race Car, and he fighting on the bottom side of the map as well. And then DW gets a little bit back in terms of damage. They get benches. This is the big part right here. Sarcasm goes down, but a massive Showstopper gets plenty of damage. Slurps goes down as well, so this was the eventual tie. But unfortunately, as you said, Race Car, just too much damage, too much sustain in these fights. Not able to pick him off fast enough means he's able to tear through.
Yeah, you put on the World Ender alongside the Death Stance, and there's a lot of regeneration going on right there. Too much to really handle at this stage of the game, as Race Car, the name implies, he is off to the races. 5, 2, and 13. He's been the stud of some of these later fights, and now Linsanity, that's the wrong side of the map for you to be in. Call of the Forge God will still go out. You'll find the double knockup. A lot of damage is going on to G7 now. Sarcasm starts to die forward. Race Car will swing that sword again, not taking down any members of JT this time. It's going to be G7 who are on the back foot. They've lost their jungler. Low health bars are coming in. They're now on the Reachy. Race Car is caught. Race Car goes down. Sarcasm grabs the kill. The flash over the wall. He wants to claim Slurps as well. Able to bring the backside of the Q. Will not claim the kill, but will still get the double in the end nonetheless, as Bedison now on the run. It's disaster for G7. JT are able to find their footing. They want to find the support. On top of that, the flash forward coming out of Linsanity, and he's just trying to buy for time here, because look at the mid lane. Optic sees it. He realized the intention has been diverted. He's trying to clear the wave to get some damage on that mid lane tower, but it's not going to be enough time though, as Baron has been called by JT.
That it will not. Able to get that mid-inner tower, but I don't think it's going to be worth it, and the Galio there to stop him as well means that he's going to be in a rough place. Actually, he might get soloed under this tower.
Getting caught out by the taunt, and now there's no minions to really help him find his way out, but he can't go through the bot side. Best Turtle trying to find a steal right here. 2,000 health remains. He flashes over the wall, and he's brought right back over. Aaron gets the kill off the back of the Showstopper.
Yeah, fantastic use of that ultimate to drag Gragas. Knew it was going to come through, knew that E would come over as soon as Sarcasm challenged, and that was a great insight there from Neo Restoration to pull him right back out and say, no Baron for you today. Now, the Dragon also available. It is on the cards here because Best Turtle, the Smite on the side of Gang 7, not going to be available, so they might stall for another if they don't burst it out first.
Oh, it's getting bursted indeed, and it's going to go over to Gang 7, able to grab the second Ocean Drake of the game, and Elder's going to be next.
Yeah, and if you thought that the Aatrox was unkillable before due to sustain, you have seen nothing until you've seen an Aatrox or even a Zac with Ocean Soul. They are absolutely unkillable in terms of what they can bring for sustain. If you don't think Grievous Wounds is a good item to build, if Morellonomicon is not your flavor, this is exactly the example of a game in which you would really want to build it.
As we get later into this game, we're going to start to see those Ornn items turn more and more online. You can already see a lot of them have been picked up. You have the buffed up Trinity Force on Neo, the Zanya's buffed up on Sarcasm, as well as his own 2 buffed up items, Linsanity. And at the late game, as we get deeper and deeper into this, we're running into the stages where those items might start playing a bigger and bigger role.
Yeah, you see, of course, the Trinity Fusion, the Zonia's Paradox, those kinds of things. The Paradox isn't the best upgrade in terms of what it does, and actually the Galio gets it as well, so not able to get that one. Those aren't the most optimal upgrades for the champions. I would have wanted to see maybe the Rabadon's Death Crown coming through for Sarcasm so he could continue to put out the damage, but that Zonia's Paradox gets a little bit of just immediate stat upgrade here, not waiting for that Runans to come through. Oh.
Yeah, Sarcasm just being a pest right there, able to backdoor that inner tower in the bot lane, still able to bring gold in. And speaking of gold, we haven't realized it, but this game is now dead even on gold.
Yeah, that's the scary part. And actually, I want to take a point. If we can actually look at the stats of Senna at the moment, I want to see how many souls she has. 84 souls. Okay, so the production says 84 souls. 84 souls at 35 gold apiece is a really high amount of damage. About 3,000 gold in just pure stats that you're getting, not to mention the crit or the attack range. Now we're seeing engagement in mid lane.
Yeah, an attempted engagement as Call of the Forge God blocked by the Braum shield once again, completely unbreakable, but that's not stopping JT from looking to do this Baron-empowered siege. It's still going to be high risk, though. They have been scaling for quite some time. They are able to bring the fight, but G7 have been getting the better of these fights when they are on a 5v5.
Yeah. I just, again, just doing quick maths. I mean, you're talking 6,300 gold between just the AD and the crit on the Senna stacks alone, not to mention she's probably picked up a couple during that time period. So the gold not even indicative because Senna is continuing to get stronger and stronger with this soul collection as best as possible. Not to mention, again, also the value from those Ornn items also huge.
Ooh, Racecar looking to start this. Linsanity going to be on the front line as the hero's entrance is going to go through. Only find a knock up onto one. It's going to be 1 kill picked up by Slurps. But can he find more? The damage going through. Racecar, you were talking about that Ocean Soul. You were talking about the damage that an Aatrox can bring. You're seeing it unfold right now as Racecar chasing down Sarcasm. He hasn't even been dented. Hasn't even been scratched. Best Turtle CN coming in from the flank now. Wants to find Sarcasm as well. Puts in the parallel convergence. Goes golden. Buys some time to get the shield, but will not find the stun. The shield has now expired, and it seems Sarcasm will as well. Picked up by Racecar. There's no one to defend the base. G7 bringing it back to JT.
Yeah, really, really nicely played here from the side of G7. Again, we've seen twice in a row, the team that has the earlier game composition that gets to fight early, gets to try to snowball early, seems to be the one that's working out in the series. We've seen that 2 games in a row now. In this one, JT ended up doing a great job at contesting a lot of the fights, but they ran out of dragons. If they had had 1 additional dragon in their favor, I think this game would have gone in their favor. But of course, that Ocean Soul is too valuable on champions, not just like the Aatrox, but also the Lucian. The Yasuo going to make full advantage of that, and because of that, they lose this game.
And can I talk about something else too? Like throwing it all the way back to the draft, the bait that came out of Gang 7 as they grabbed both Gragas and Yasuo, leaving the Ornn up. And then when the Ornn was picked, they immediately go for the Braum. They had 2 ways to block that Call of the Forge God, and we saw that play a pivotal role in the late stages of this game, especially that last team fight. Linsanity summons it, and the Ram's instantly gone. We don't even see it get close enough to him.
Yeah, it was rather sad to see that they gave away, of course, the Yasuo and the Braum for those particular matchups. Again, also the Senna, the bottom lane got bullied very, very heavily because there was no defense for the Senna. If that hadn't happened, it's possible you would have been a lot more competitive in the bottom side of the map, and the Senna would have been able to do more in these fights. But that mid game was in that just a massive power trough for her. Did not have any gold to her name. Didn't really have a ton of souls either. And as the game continued, started to pick it up, really started to look good towards the end. But in that mid game, which had no impact in fights whatsoever. So defensive support instead of maybe the Galio in this one might have helped them out a little bit too.
Yeah, and it wasn't that their composition was bad by any means. It was just they kept trying to play to the win condition of G7, who were spiking at that 20-minute mark. 2 Blade of the Rune Kings was all you needed for them to come online, and the moment they grabbed that, you saw some of the most beautiful knockups into last breaths, into just a chain of damage. G7 played that comp perfectly.
That they did. Got to appreciate both games, again, identifying win conditions for both red side teams. Surprisingly, they were able to win both games on red side. So if you continue this pattern of being able to play that earlier game, you would expect these two to both maybe look for a little bit or more early game pressure on everybody. I don't expect to see the Echo again. I thought it was really, really strong from Sarcasm, but didn't have that impact that Lee Sin had in game 1.
Yeah, so we definitely have a hyped matchup. We definitely have a series. 2-1 teams have now taken this to game number 3. Only one can win. I hope you all put down those Travi bucks and bet it on your favorite team. We are going to throw it over to a short break. When we return, we'll get into game number 3 of JT versus G7. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Risen Esports Champions League. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are back here now, getting into this draft number 2 of Gang 7, draft number 3, mind you, of Gang 7 versus Junior Talents, and we already got spicy picks right out the gate.
That we do. Finally, we get to see the MF and the Aphelios come out here for opposing bot lanes, not to mention those engaged supports that have been so popular for so long. The Gangplank was first pick here, and again, I would have expected that into the LeBlanc, but they let it through. Jace is a big pick for Neo Restoration here. I think it is one of his most played champions, and he's certainly very, very good at it. So this is a really great flexible set pick. Could be going into the mid lane or the jungle here, depending on what they need.
Yeah, it's not one of his most played champions. It is his most played champion for this season. He definitely loves that Jace. And now rounding these compositions off, the last pick will be the Zoe. So we're getting something a little bit more traditional now. You got the mage versus mage matchup. No interference coming from some of those orange shenanigans.
No, nothing like that in this one. A lot more standard compositions. And again, I expect this one to go at least a little bit later on into the game. Junior Talents have quite a bit of poke on their side. They have the Jace, the Zoe, they've got the Aphelios even for some of those Moonlight Vigil or Calibrum shots that can do quite a bit of damage on the opposite side. You've got Gangplank, you've got Syndra for some response, and a lot of long-range engage in the Leona and in the Sejuani. So you have a bit of danger on both sides. You have damage coming in from one side, CC, and engage coming in from the other.
Now, the only thing is bringing it back to the Gangplank more than anything else, and going with the Sejuani on top of that. It's not a lane that's going to be easy for Racecar to survive. I mean, Sejuani, yeah, great jungler, but she works really well with top laners who can stick and get those permafrost stacks onto their opponent. That's not going to be the case with Gangplank. You only really have a range form of Parlay with the Q. Now, TSM Sarcasm, on the other hand, full aggression, even if he's on the set. Neo Restoration being on one of his favorite champions, I do feel like that's a weak point for Gang 7 over in the top side.
That it does, and we saw what happened in Game 1 when you give away a little bit of priority to one of these solo lanes, and then Sarcasm, he just runs away with the game. I'm curious to see if Sarcasm goes more for this full tank build because he has so many damage dealers on his team instead of going for something like Black Cleaver. Doesn't necessarily need that one in this. Really important also is Sarcasm doesn't have to be proactive in this game. I think it's actually important that he's not super proactive when it comes to team fights unless they're winning. Because Sejuani and Leona are the two ways that they engage this, and you have a winning poke war for the side of Junior Talent. So Sarcasm is able to stand there and just kind of dissuade the engage from Sejuani or Leona to throw them back into their own team, into the Sejuani and Miss of Fortune. They're going to be at a little bit more mid-range. You can punish so much better than if he's trying to, aggressively, yank one of these carries, throw them into the backline, and then hope that the damage comes through afterwards. I think he plays a responsive style set in the, in at least the team fighting stage.
So now for the third and final time, hitting the Rift. Gang 7 versus Junior Talent. A lot of Travi bucks on the line. I saw votes going both ways that time, and this is it right here. 2-2-1 teams looking to clinch a first place spot early on in their group, and this would be a good way to go through it for Gang 7, being able to avenge that loss they had earlier in the season to JT. JT would just like to try and stay as the powerhouses they want to be. So it's still a lot on the line. First seed and second seed definitely highly contested in this matchup right now.
That they are. A little bit of a late invade here from the Nautilus to be able to get a ward down onto the red buff. So both red buffs could be warded out on both sides, so it doesn't look like either jungler is actually going to be starting there either, so it's not really going to be that impactful to have that mission, but we'll kind of, it might spot out the predictive pathing here, which I think is a little bit more important, specifically for Sejuani, just to be able to read where this set is going to be, because obviously neither one of these champions ganks super hard early. Sejuani has a lot of CC and a lot of damage from set, but neither one of them is known for their very, very early game prowess, so you're more afraid of the set counter jungling, so having the information of where he's at or where he's not specifically is much more valuable to the Sejuani who's susceptible to those invades rather than a normal ganking jungler, somebody like the J4 perhaps.
Lane's playing out early, kind of anticipating to be a slow early game as we've had in the last two games. When Sanity wants to prove that wrong, already going with the aggression on the Optic Waffles.
They are. You could see some pretty impressive laning phases here from the side of Junior Talent, just because, again, the Zoe into Syndra matchup is one that it can go both ways. It's a very skill-heavy matchup, but I think it does lean towards the Zoe, especially once some itemization comes through. In Neo Restoration, you have to think he has the advantage on this Jace pick right now, so the solo lanes on it in a vacuum certainly feel really good. Sarcasm actually catches out Best Turtle here.
Yeah, that's that counter jungling you were talking about. Now Sarcasm going after Best Turtle, able to bring him back in. Locoation going to flash over the wall. Puts down the Ignite, yet to use the Dredge line, but will find the snare nonetheless. There's the Dredge line, and there is first blood to Sarcasm.
And it is. You have to be really, really careful if you're Best Turtle. You had to think they had that warded out earlier. They knew that it had been warded, and they knew the information was there. Just wasn't expecting the counter jungle. So you see a little bit of trading on the bottom side. Doesn't look like it's going to amount to much.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising that they wouldn't expect it. You were talking about the wards. They were both placed at red buff for both teams. You want that early pathing information, and even with Loco Asian walking away from the lane, not really calling that out or anticipating the counter jungle.
Yeah. Big trade there from the side of Racecar onto Neo Restoration to push him out a little bit. But as you said, yeah, the red buff ward did spot out that Set wasn't there, and it wouldn't have taken him that long to clear his bottom side jungle since it's mostly single target, and he has the Hunter's Machete, which you saw earlier when you started that engage. So you would expect Best Turtle to be able to read that. At minimum, go down to your Gromp or take your Raptors, which is a lot more shallow, so you can spot the entrance instead of going that deep to your red buff and getting punished for it. It was a burn of the Ignite and the Flash from Loco Asian, so bottom lane is somewhere you could put pressure on if you're Turtle, but other than that, I mean, that's just a pure win and a lot more pressure applied by Sarcasm here in the early game.
See Best Turtle kind of camping around this area, just over on the bot side jungle. Was spotted out by ward earlier, so they have an idea that he's in this vicinity, but most of that jungle has been cleared away. Spawning soon will be the wolves, and Sarcasm on the opposite side of the map.
And it will. Quick replay of this one. Yeah, again, Best Turtle is spotted out, and their ward is still alive on the opposite side, or was alive until seconds ago on the opposite side, and they had to have spotted something was up. Not to mention, Sarcasm was 3 camps in at this point, so he had the level 3 well before the Sejuani, and that Flash and Ignite coming down, the root coming through, and the W going to be able to secure that one for this team.
Making it look easy. Very team-coordinated type of play. Now look at this. Rotation's coming in, Optic Waffles, trying to get some deep vision. They're going to use this lane party that they have to try and start up this early Drake. And seems like a smart move, because Sarcasm is far off from being able to respond to this.
That is, they're going to have 4 members here. They pull pressure out of bot lane, so they're going to be able to push out that bottom side and get the wave back into a manageable position. And the Zoe's going to have some pressure to push in mid wave on the Syndra, but getting this Cloud Drake is pretty big. You have the Syndra ultimate, you've got the Sejuani ultimate, now potentially a catch on the Nautilus.
Trying to catch out Loco Asian, who's looking to turn this around. Goes on to Slurps. Aaron on the sidelines will find a kill. It's going to be Linsanity onto Slurps. Venison just going to delay for the rest of the squad. Be that sacrificial lamb. A double kill going over to Linsanity.
Really good play. Again, they spotted out a team that has a little bit of difficulty in terms of like their rotation speed, because MF is pretty fast, but other than that, you have to stay clustered as a pretty big ball, and you don't have a ton of early game strength at this point right now for the side of G7. So they knew where G7 was, and they're able to capitalize on it. The TP from Neo Restoration, really good there, but of course the Zoe bubbles from Linsanity really helping out in that poke war to be able to put down the damage from such a far distance. And now Linsanity with 2 kills puts him in an amazing spot in the lane, where now Optic Waffles has to feel very threatened every time a Q or an E is going to land.
And I mean, we've had it in our solo queue games, Rebel. You know what a fed Zoe, how infuriating it is to fight against, because she can come at many creative angles with those battle stars.
That she can, and especially when she starts to get some cooldown reduction, she gets that 20-30%. Then the paddle stars basically come out every single second, and there feels like there's nothing you can do. You have to dodge it and get on top of her all in one swift movement, which is a little bit difficult to do on either team. Now, in this one, of course, you have the Leona, you've got the Sejuani, so if it does get stunned up or she has some of that CC applied and doesn't have the cleanse, it's going to be relatively easy. But you actually see cleanse from both Aaron and Linsanity in this one, knowing all of that potential pick that comes through from, of course, this Leona and Sejuani combination.
So Neo Restoration able to get it back. He does get his serrated Dirk now, so he's going to get a good spike of damage up against Racecar. And he's been doing quite well in this matchup. It's plus 10 CS over to Neo Restoration. Still wants to keep up that momentum, still wants to keep up that damage, but Racecar, if he's able to survive it without going down, that's really considered a win in the Gangplank book.
That's pretty nice. Now, a while ago, Jace did receive some buffs to where his late game scaling is pretty strong. I'm not going to say that he can stand up to a Gangplank's damage late, but certainly has a little bit more for himself after the laning phase. So it's not like that old school Jace where, like, if you don't have 2-3 kills in the laning phase, then you're basically just worthless. Now it does feel a little better later on into the game. What I would do if I were Neo Restoration is obviously Gangplank really doesn't want to roam around too much. If his ultimate is down, you can apply some pressure with Sarcasm onto the mid lane or try to get priority on these top side neutral objectives for this Rift Herald. That would be a really good way to try to put some pressure down onto the map without actually having to get solo kills or get massive CS advantages for the Jace at this point. And right now, it's feeling like the wave state is in favor of him having to do that to get his advantage.
Now, Sarcasm, meanwhile, focused very deep onto this bot lane, and here comes the assault onto the bot lane. Bullet time will go out, just waiting the bot lane of JT to continue this fight. That they're looking to back off. Sarcasm shows up, but it's a 1-on-3. He's not with his teammates. Able to use the RKO to grab some ground to get closer. Gets that nice haymaker. A good amount of shielding coming in, but Benison will put him down. Aaron and Loco Asian now both on the run. A slither of health remains for Loco Asian, and he's going to be able to get out alive. They did continue the pressure. Linsanity, meanwhile, will go down to Optic Waffles in the 1v1.
A pretty unfortunate set of results right there from both teams. Oh, re-engage.
Oh, yeah, and that's unfortunate as well. Aaron will be able to get a nice little kill delivered to him via Uber Eats via Loco Asian.
Yeah, rather nice play right there. Bottom side of the map, the Sejuani wasn't quite level 6, so didn't get to make that proactive play she wanted. But of course, with Sarcasm coming in just over-aggressive slightly and gets a really solid engagement into 3 members, but couldn't quite get the, I believe it's the face breaker onto Leona to pull her in far enough. And then the Haymaker, of course, not enough damage to finish that off, so he gets pressure out of that one. And of course, the roam down from Linsanity came out very quickly. The lane wasn't in perfect position to punish Optic Waffles, and because of that, Linsanity ends up getting caught out. Didn't burn his cleanse when the stun had come through. Didn't feel obviously like that was necessary. Instead burns the flash to try to get away. But Optic Waffles just ultim gets that kill for himself.
Now look at this pressure going on at the top lane. Neo just poking the tower, poking race car, poking the tower, poking race car. Race car really stuck underneath that tower. If he takes his recall now, he will have to walk back to lane. Teleport is not available, which means more plates might be cashed in here, and especially with Sarcasm grabbing Rift Herald right now, it might mean a target for Shelly to head towards.
It's pretty scary, actually. I'm not sure. Our Sarcasm should have his ultimate up soon, so something that could happen here is Jace could look for a reset, come back to lane, Sarcasm could farm on his top side, then look for a dive under the tower onto this Gangplank, and utilize this Rift Herald to break those top lane tower or top lane plates for even more gold. Probably would be his optimal situation here. That would give up dragon pressure to G7, but obviously could be the play that they're looking for here in order to break Sarcasm and Restoration loose of the top side of the map.
Ooh, Optic trying to outsmart Linsanity. So one thing about the ultimate, it's very predictable where you're going to be in the next 2 seconds, so it can set up that Scatter the Weak to get a free stun on Linsanity. That being said, a fight's about to break out. JT looking to grab this one. It's going to be G7 who get the dragon, but at the cost of Turtle so far. Now Optic critically low will fall to Aaron. It's going to be a 2-for-0 exchange as JT just continue their momentum to make it 3.
Yeah, phenomenal little set of plays there. Again, they're using this dragon as a point of contention where they can start a fight rather than actually just going for the dragon ahead of time. They leave Racecar to the top side of the map where he's able to pick up some plates for himself. Again, that melee champion gets a little bit more of that plate gold, gets him in a much better space. But obviously, Neo Restoration's pressure to the bot side of the map for these fights has been also valuable. And now even Aaron picks up a couple of kills for himself in the laning phase, means that he is going to be in a great spot for team fighting, not to mention the Zoe on 3 kills as well. So the carries here for the side of JT, a lot more fed than we are accustomed to seeing them earlier on in the game.
And really waiting out the health bar of that turret before they finally put down the Rift Herald. Just one charge to ensure, despite all the resistances built up, the charge will be able to finish off that tower. It's kind of a smart move right there.
That is, using it later sometimes is risky because you see their defense could have come through from Slurps and Benison, but obviously being patient and utilizing that, not just calling the bluff of this team from Sarcasm to use that to break the tower was all the more valuable.
Oh no, caught out is Slurps and fed to the wolves. Aaron grabs the kill. Benison now on the run. Loco Asian looking to find that dredge line, wants to get the hook. Zenith Blade, it's going to be delivered straight to him as Insanity is able to grab the kill.
Very, very nicely played there from the side of JT. Once again, taking advantage of their earlier game composition and all of the gold that they've been able to accrue. Again, another kill going the way of Linsanity, more kill going the way of Aaron. So their carries continuing to rack up some gold. The Gangplank isn't massively ahead of it all of the Jace at this point in the game. And so you're feeling really, really good about the mid-game about to come through here from Sarcasm, from Linsanity, from Aaron, and Loco Asian on the bottom side, while Neo Restoration should still be able to compete with the Gangplank in the side lane.
Beating he's doing, still shoving in that lane, still putting in that pressure, but pressure's getting returned now. Remember, Racecar has been able to get a good chunk of gold on his own as well, and with the parlay, he's able to collect even more. Gets the 1v1 against Neo.
That Grasp and Sheen proc on top of that Q just make it hard.
Oh, it's getting even worse now. Optic Waffles, left all by his lonesome. Aaron going to use the ult to finish the job.
Yeah, nice little Moonlight Vigil from Aaron. It's a very long distance for ultimate. He's able to use that. Also push the Gangplank ultimate because their bottom lane is up here on the top side to take this tower as fast as possible. Be able to get those plates for themselves. I don't know how fast they can take it. Definitely won't take it faster than the Leona and the MF due to the fact that that top lane tower has extra resistance against the ranged champions. Gangplank should have his ultimate soon to be able to maybe push this off. I don't know that they have the ability to do so.
You're seeing it right there. The race of top lane versus top lane.
Oh, baby.
Ooze. Pushing out, getting very, very low as these towers, and looks like the job's going to be done. First brick will go over to the squad of JT.
Yeah, and Neo Restoration actually able to push off this bottom lane. So 2 towers, that is the first tower and the second tower now going the way. All of those plates going on to Aaron as well, at least a partial plate going on to him. I believe it was 57 gold split across those 3 members instead of the normal. It might be a little bit more onto those top plates, but still plenty of gold. You're talking 1,000 gold, 1,500 gold, somewhere in that area going to Aaron just from the early plate gold alone. And this massive advantage really sitting on this Aphelios means they banded away so many games in a row for a reason. It's because he's so good at it, and now he has a ton of gold to make it perfect use of the champion.
Yeah, 14 minutes in, he's well past the Infinity Edge. He's got a lot of crit going on. This is a pretty scary Aphelios to have to deal with, and going away from the Aphelios, what's just caught my eye right now is how much vision control is coming out of junior talent. Look at all the control wards over towards the topside river.
Yeah, when they rotated their bot lane up, they moved all those up there. I assume it's because they want to keep that pressure there for second Rift Herald so they can utilize that as well. Now they have their bot lane in the mid to be able to keep this pressure pushed into the mid tower and also make sure that Cinder can't roam around with his GLP, try to find picks as well. You're going to see the enhancement of the map. The Dragon's going to be up, and JT can't keep ignoring the Dragon, especially now that it's Infernal Drake, so a ton of damage can come through on this team fight. But certainly the way they've been controlling the map and the Rift Herald especially is really good for them. They do have first pressure here. Restoration on the top side as well to split push.
25 seconds till Infernal does spawn. Loco Asian kind of camping it out here, but Gang 7 is able to group up. Almost 5 members strong. Sleepy Trouble Bubble goes off. Looking for the Paddle Star as well. Just barely gonna miss. Sarcasm caught out by the Solar Flare. Zenith Blade, the chain of CC for days. Sarcasm gets a good chunk of damage in before he finally falls to Racecar. Now it's a 4v5. Advantage going over to G7. Best Turtle might make that advantage swing straight to equal as JT is looking to turn this one around. Neo Restoration running critically low. Only needs a couple shots into Slurps. Is able to get one, but Aaron will claim the revenge kill. Now going forward, Scout of the Week will find the knockback on the Loco, who's able to flash forward and get another kill over to Aaron. Optic Waffles forced to walk away. 3 down for G7, only resulting in an ace. Goodness gracious, the snipe coming out of Neo Restoration only cost them 2, gaining a tower on top of it. Infernal on the menu.
I don't know that even Neo Restoration was going to throw the Q there and thought he was going to get the kill. I don't know that he thought the damage was going to be there. It looked like he was caught off guard as well as the Cinder, but fantastic little fight once again. J-Team weren't able to get their carries in here first. Sarcasm gets kind of caught out at the front part of this fight, so not able to use his ultimate in any significant fashion. Linsanity continues to throw damage in, but the Sejuani soaks the first part of it. It's Aaron really coming into this fight as well as Neo, Restoration that really clean up the remainder of this fight. Best Turtle takes too much damage, and the Gangplank can't frontline at this point, so Racecar in a really bad place. As well as you see, that top side of the fight, Restoration able to put a lot of damage onto Optic Waffles and Benisons, and then of course Aaron just cleans the rest of the fight. That flash was pretty bad, but is able to get the kill eventually onto Racecar here, and then can't clean the remainder of these kills. Loco Asian gets just the one for himself in the trade kill, but then Optic Waffles going to go down to Neo Restoration in the end, and the Dragon gonna get secured by JT. Yeah, that EQ. Really, really good.
That was the very, very edge of that EQ combo, and feels bad. Feels very bad. Optic Waffles falling to that, completing the ace, and giving Junior Talent this strong momentum that is resulting in this invade right now. Best Turtle. There's nowhere for him to go. It's a 3-point surround coming in. He will fall to Linsanity. Kill donated, but Neo Restoration in the bot lane has a fight of his own he has to deal with. It's very hard to get away from a Leona. Never mind a cannon barrage going down on your head as Race Car grabs the kill 1-for-1 on this map.
But you lose complete pressure of the map. You got MF mid lane. It's not going to be able to respond to the Nautilus and the Aphelios taking that tower. You got top lane being pushed by Linsanity on this Zoe trying to drop bubbles on top of the head of Optic Waffles. And this Rift Herald is going down to Sarcasm. They're just getting pressure all over the map. Now Linsanity moves off of the bot lane knowing he's probably not going to be able to push this into Optic Waffles. They might lose the bottom lane tower here, but that Rift Herald going over is the big piece of it because now they can pressure for one of the inner towers on the map. So this first Baron, I harp this a lot in a lot of the games that I see. The first Baron typically doesn't break the base unless you've got every single outer tower gone. And the most important bit is if you're able to break the inner tower in any one of these lanes, that's the lane you can pressure for Baron to get an inhibitor, and that's usually what's able to secure a game with the first Baron as opposed to any other one.
Rotating around the jungle of Gang 7 is Junior Talent, putting in a lot of that deep vision. He got that control ward just placed right there, bouncing between those two towers, looking to find someone out in rotation. Sarcasm is going a little bit too far, too deep here. Slurps is going to look to return the favor, puts up the double up and grabs the kill onto Sarcasm, but that's a corridor, and that is a thwarted bullet time. Over on the back line comes the Solar Flare, able to lock down Aaron for the time being, but here comes Neo Restoration, and what a crazy fight, jungler for jungler.
Yeah, top lane inner is also going to go down. I really want to see the replay of that one because of the haymaker that came out. It was just, Sarcasm was so far up, I was terrified of what was going to happen to him there. I thought he was just going to go down with no Reaper, or with nothing in response, but that huge haymaker gives such just deterrent for the side of the other team. Gang 7 here not going to be able to. Yeah, Sarcasm, watch, he has Rift Herald, walks way too far, just getting punished absolutely right here. But you're going to watch and slow this down, and we're going to see this haymaker is going to be nuts with the full bar. Look at that! Half the members get half health right there, and they can't continue through the choke because of the fear of the Moonlight Vigil coming through. They actually get a trade kill there, and there's nothing else that can come out. It was just an amazing little haymaker to set up the remainder of that fight from the side of Aaron. So got to appreciate what it was that Sarcasm put into that one, even though he was the one that kind of got punished.
Yeah, and another note there is Loco Asian put that depth charge onto Race Car. Race Car accidentally panicked a little bit too bit and walked past Slurps. That's what stopped that bullet time. So that's a big ouch right there for Gang 7. That would have been helpful to have that up a little bit longer.
That would have punished the Nautilus at minimum. I don't know after the Aftershock had gone down. Now this Baron should be really easy. This is, oh, actually this is really interesting build. So it is a press the attack. So it's very single target oriented, and it's double Zeal item Aphelios with Infinity Edge Rush. Usually you see the double AD crit item, but because of the way that Aphelios' abilities work, sometimes it's better to have more attack speed, especially with press the attack when you're focusing down front line in front to back. So that's what you're seeing right now from Aaron, rather than that Infinity Edge Essence Reaver into Runeans.
Now the Baron Empowered Siege starting to begin here. Insanity throws out the Sleepy Trouble Bubble and is just looking to bring all kinds of trouble towards that top lane and constantly keep Gang 7 guessing where that bubble's going to come from, where that harassment's going to come from, because that's basically what the name of the game is here. Once you get the siege going, start poking them down. You have the Jace, you have the Zoe, you have the power to team fight right after that.
Yeah, and right now, the side of JT, I would say that their lane assignment should be that Jace is top lane, even without the TP, to put the Baron pressure on the bottom side, or the top side, where that inhibitor is under fire. My imagination here is that they're really going to commit to this Dragon, and especially the Dragon fight. Otherwise, they're really not going to make massive use of this Baron. They might get that bottom lane inhibitor tower, or my apologies, the bottom lane inner tower, but they might not break much more of the base. And it looks like that is what they're going to do. They're going to commit very hard to this Infernal Drake with the waves that they pushed in, and since there's no contention, there's no fight coming through, so I don't think that this was absolutely optimal from J-Team, but they do get a second Drake for themselves.
Yeah, second Infernal on top of it. Definitely going to be pretty nice to have, and now the rotation's coming out from JT. They're headed towards the bot side. Racecar is going to be left on the split push all by his lonesome. Insanity's going to shove in the mid lane. That pressure in the mid, pressure in the bot. It's going to force a response out of Racecar, who's not going to continue. Instead, he's going to take the recall, looking for the bullet time. Those are two major ultimates down. Keep in mind, Venison's The solar flare is quite short. That's one you can have back up, but the bullet time is going to be gone for a while, and that shock blast is able to get a good chunk of damage in, pushing Gang 7 back, as well as the Rift Herald really chipping away at these structures. Going to get another charge onto the inhibitor. Inhibitor down, Sleepy Trouble Bubble goes off. Linsanity trying to find it on the back line, gets it onto Slurps. Now Slurps critically low. He might have not want to take that shot because he eats another. Linsanity gets a kill. Aaron gets a kill. It's all free now for JT as they continue this team fight. 4 versus 2. Neo going forward on the Best Turtle. Best Turtle gets destroyed. Only Benisons to watch in horror as his base goes up in flames. Junior Talent are able to get the kill, get the second win against G7 in the season, and continue to #1 in their group.
Just an insane little design of composition there. They got the early advantage, continued to press it, and most importantly, when they have to put forward damage down onto this team, they were able to do it. EQs from either the Zoe or from the Jason on the top side of the map. The Aphelios in this one, Aaron, was absolutely insanely powerful, and they didn't even need him most of the time because of the poke that was going down, pushing this team off as best as possible. Sarcasm, again, looked for some of the responses, looked for some of the showstoppers, but really and truthfully, it's just the damage from the poke coming out time and time again, pushing forward and allowing these fights to be won with such ease. And that last fight was a really great example. Consistent poke went down, no massive engagement, but just so much damage got placed that they weren't able to team fight afterwards.
And with a performance like that, you can't help but to expect both of these teams to end up showing up in the playoffs when it's all said and done. You can imagine both of them as first and second seed after what we just saw today. That was a very highly contested matchup, and it was definitely a joy to be able to commentate that one.
That it was, yeah. They were really good. Again, I think design of compositions through all 3 games was really good from Red Side. Blue Side, they both need some work, it looks like, at least a little bit, because Red Side took all 3 games tonight. But yeah, that response play and the ability of both teams to know how to respond to the other team, what you should pick and what you should play with, was just really, really good. We see that damage shot again. Lisanity and Jace doing a lot of the work in this one. And again, Aaron popping off on this Aphelios was really good too.
Yeah, I mean, when you have all that range, it gets very frustrating to deal with once you start getting towards those later stages of the game. A poke comp, you know, in its purest form, does best when it's able to get a gold lead because it's so hard to retaliate against something that just keeps whacking you and walking away.
It does. Gotta give a lot of credit here to Junior Talents. They did a phenomenal job today. Even that game 2 where they were able to loot, where they lost, unfortunately, to the side of Gang 7, I thought was really, really well contested here for the side of Junior Talents. So just showing their strength on both sides of the rift and being able to play in every single game.
Yeah, this was a star-studded team, to be honest. You know, going both ways. It's definitely a big congratulations to Junior Talents, but also to Gang 7 for putting up such a display. Overall, both teams definitely deserve to pat themselves on the backs, but that's going to do it for here on the casting desk. My name is Eric Desrex Beltran, followed by my co-caster, Rebel Fox, and of course, a huge shout out to Joe Physics, who does the streaming for this. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Risen Esports Champions League.
up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call?